This video is to help you if you're struggling to fill out the poetry review packet as you prepare to take the Poetry Summative test. Now, if you want to have your poetry packet number 1 out, that could be helpful, but we are going to go through each of these, starting with alliteration. And here's the definition: the repeated consonant sounds at the beginnings of words, like wild weeds in the water. It is the repeated W sound that makes it alliteration, because these are different words, but they all begin the same. So the first challenge was to write a sentence with alliteration that uses the P sound. So we would want multiple words in the sentence that all start with the P sound. So I'm going to think of somebody I can write about, maybe something they can do, and look for words starting with P. So I'm going to talk about Pam and Patrick will pass the purple puck. I'm going to make sure I capitalize my proper nouns in the first word, and I'm going to make sure that I put end punctuation on my sentence. And I now have alliteration because I have different words, but they all start with the same P sound. Pam and Patrick will pass the purple puck. Taking that same principle down to these pictures here, we have 4 objects. I've already provided the first one, the monkey, which tells us we're going to be looking for the M sound. So we need to label these other 3 images with words starting with M, like moon, mask, and here we're pointing to someone who's next to a kid. So this could be a woman or a female, but since we know we're looking for an M word, this must be a mom. So the final step on alliteration is to simply use these 4 words in a sentence. So perhaps we'll talk about how the mom of the monkey flew to the moon in a mask. There we go. We've got the repeated sound. And that's what makes it alliteration. Different words, but they start with the same sound. On the second page, we have allusion, which is when we make an indirect reference to someone or something famous. We make these references when we are describing something else. So we've got some allusions here that we're going to finish. And I do give you a hint. You could use Google if you weren't certain about this, but since we're doing it together, I can help you out. But we're going to insert the name of this famous poem into the blank in order to finish this allusion. And this famous painting is the Mona Lisa, which means our sentence is now, her Mona Lisa smile always caught the attention of people and made them wonder what she was thinking. To say somebody has a Mona Lisa smile suggests that they smile like the Mona Lisa, who is often thought of as being mysterious. So this would mean that you think somebody has a mysterious smile. Going to the bottom, we're going to fill in a couple more allusions by referencing other famous things. Like Jackson's room is a bigger disaster than, so we want to name a famous disaster. So one possible disaster in history is Hurricane Katrina. This major disaster almost wiped out New Orleans. So now, Jackson's room is a bigger disaster than Hurricane Katrina. So we've alluded on how messy Jackson's room is by comparing it to the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. Leo's new house is so grand that it reminds me of the, and now we need to name a famous big building or a big house. So maybe we think of one of the most famous homes in the United States, the White House. Leo's new house is so grand that it reminds me of the White House. So I've alluded to this famous home that's quite grand to express just how grand Leo's new home is. So these references to something famous while trying to describe something else, those are my allusions. The final term that we're going to cover in this video will be metaphor. And a metaphor is a comparison. We're going to compare two things that have something in common, but the metaphor does not use like or as. So we're going to finish these metaphors by adding the rest of the comparison, and we're going to explain why we chose what we did to finish our metaphors. So we're going to explain what they have in common. So the first one, because her car broke down, Pamela was a blank all weekend. She was just so grumpy. So I want to compare Pamela to something that is grumpy. And I often think of bears as grumpy. They always seem so cranky when they come out of hibernation. So because her car broke down, Pamela was a bear all weekend. She was just so grumpy. Why did I choose this? Well, bears seem grumpy. Now, nowhere in this sentence do I see like or as, which is why this is a metaphor and not a simile. The second one, Randy's attitude is so positive. He really is a blank. So I want to compare Randy to something else that seems very positive. So I am going to say a ray of sunshine. So Randy's attitude is so positive, he really is a ray of sunshine. Why did I choose this? Because sunshine is positive. And again, if you read through this, you will not see the words like or as. Our final metaphor. When the game gets super competitive, Ian becomes a blank because he wants to win so badly. So I need to compare Ian to something that seems possibly super competitive. And I'm actually going to go with bulldozer. You might be thinking, well, bulldozers aren't competitive. No, but bulldozers trample over anything in their path. It's like they don't care what gets in front of them. They just keep going. So I'm comparing Ian to a bulldozer because it's like he just keeps pushing. And again, as you read through this metaphor, you will not see like or as in the comparison. That's what makes metaphors a little bit different. So now you have the first three terms done in your packet. If you need help with the other ones, you can watch the other videos.